Hello out there. This is our very first video on this page. We are running a podcast to start us off. We're going to be talking about The Mandalorian. We will be releasing a video each week. Today we will be doing episodes 1 and 2 because, well, life happens and schedules got in the way.
This is a big bear who loves long walks on the beach. That's an actual ninja.
Shoulder.
Do not look directly at him.
Shoulder.
Oh, God. I keep forgetting.
He loves you.
Everybody does.
I know, right? Maybe you and I should switch because I do.
All right.
Okay, we got this. Hello. Hey.
Hello there. Hey there.
This is Dang to my left. Antoine to my right. I am Clinton. Welcome to Friendly Fire.
Ninja teleport.
It's so much better me being on this side because right off the bat I panicked.
Yeah. So, fun fact, I have a shoulder injury.
It was my bad.
Want to see?
Get out of your house. Also, there will be spoilers in this video. The very first thing that caught my eye, I know I watched it a little bit differently than you guys. I actually, on my first view, I paused and took notes as we went, which is why I have so many. So, my reasoning for it was to get my initial first thoughts and reactions off of things instead of like how you were like, I'm going to immerse myself in it and then take notes later. I wanted to be completely caught off guard and unaware of what's going on. So like I just jotted down my first thoughts. So my very first thought was the Star Wars splash page, how it went through like the chrome look of like Vader and R2-D2 and stuff like that. And I thought that was just like a really cool Marvel style intro for this new universe.
Really, I actually felt like it was kind of pandering. Like they were almost trying to rip off Marvel.
Well, I mean, Disney owns them, so it's all under the same umbrella.
It's kind of it. Like
but I thought it looked cool.
I'm waiting
personally.
for like a Disney version where it's like Elsa's face and then that like Aladdin the genie.
We can only hope.
Well, personally, I like the art pan of like, all kinds of arts while the intro is playing because like, as an artist, that stuff is like, appeals to me.
I want to just point out right off the bat, did you guys notice that the Mando's entire look, Huron referred to as the Mando, by the way.
Yes.
Did you notice that
Ham.
the Mando's entire look was actually a reference to Boba Fett's original look in the
Yes.
Star Wars holiday special?
No.
What?
No, not about that, but it's a traditional Mandalorian look. Yeah.
The gun he has is the exact gun that Boba Fett used in that holiday special way, way back then.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, which was a nice touch because you have not seen that gun in Star Wars canon
I've never seen
anywhere
it, so.
except that original holiday special, and then now the Mandalorian has it, and they're actually expanding on what it can do with the different rounds and stuff like that. I thought that was absolutely fantastic.
Nice.
I thought that was nice with the rounds because I'm like, hey, it works like a real gun.
The shoulder pad that he's wearing that gets replaced is actually the same color palette as Boba Fett's outfit in that holiday special too.
Oh,
so it was a very nice nod back to the original appearance.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, that's one thing I like because I'm like, I'm just a fan of the lore and stuff, but you're deeply ingrained in Star Wars.
Yeah, and I just like lightsabers.
And he's a fanboy. Yeah.
Bzzz,
Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow.
Lightsabers, where the physics change mid-universe.
Yeah. All right, let's get back on track. All right, so we get the opening scene. Boba goes into the bar with a little puck, right? After these guys are harassing this blue-finned guy.
Did you notice how they actually applied activation physics to the Mandalorian's different wrist weapons? Like, the wrist weapons themselves are really common in Mandalorian outfits.
Yeah.
But in almost all the cartoons and stuff, you just see them hold it out, and then it activates. But you notice he's doing different hand gestures
Oh, so
and
I didn't
wrist
pick up on
flicks
that.
to activate. The scene, like you're talking about with the bar,
Yeah.
where he harpoons the guy. He
Oh,
actually
yeah.
turns his wrist and then flicks, and that changes the equipment.
Okay. Can I just say, like, when he, the first guy, when he stabbed him, I hope he stabbed him in his butt. Because that's exactly what it looked like he did, and I really hope that's how it actually played out. Yeah, go ahead.
It's like I want to talk how traditionally dumb the thug is. Like, he's beating up on what we just assume is like a normal guy. But first off, I was like, oh, that's the target. And that thug is just going to be the normal,
right?
just
He
super
could not be more
douchebag.
cliche,
Yeah.
you know?
See, my first initial thought with that guy, I didn't like. I knew he was like a bounty, but I thought maybe he was gonna join Mando's crew. Honestly,
Oh, really?
like when he was down in the hole and he was like talking about the bathroom and stuff. Also, first time they've ever shown a toilet in Star Wars. So,
First body ever. Good job, Mando. Good job.
so like when he was like rifling through and like finding the guns and all that stuff, but then closes them because obviously he didn't take them or anything.
Right.
I was like, oh, maybe he's gonna be a part of his crew, and then Carbonite happened. But more on that later. So back at the bar,
Yeah.
they get into the fight, stabs the guy in the butt. The other guy runs, and I'll note it like when I first watched the episode, and when that door opened, when Mando walked in, like I have in my notes, I was like, holy shit, this door is awesome. So it's a fucking like spiral door that opens up, and they have like, you know, sharp points on them.
An
right?
iris.
Yeah, an iris.
Alice Stargate, but
Yeah.
no Egyptian monsters.
Right. So I wrote that. I was like, oh, that's a really fucking cool door. And then obviously the guy runs out, and then, you know, Mando's like, or whatever hand motion you did to boom, lasso him and fucking hog tie him and pull him back
You were thinking
in.
the same thing. Kill him in the door. Kill him
Yes!
in the door. Kill him in
Yes!
the door.
And then the fucking dude goes to pull a pistol and shoots at Mando. Mando dodges it and fucking shoots the door. And the door shuts on him. And it just... And, oh, man, that was such a nice touch. And then, credits. Not credits. Opening credits.
Honestly, like, that one scene right there, the Mando, like, here's my all-time favorite, Dash Rendar right at the top, and, like, Mando kills that one dude, he's like, da, 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 da.
Right. It was, like, the beginning 2.5 minutes were, like, really set the tone for the show, I think.
Yes.
So I was really happy with that. And then the opening credits themselves, I felt was very spaghetti Western.
Yes.
Which, as we've gone on, the show kind of feels like that.
Yes,
And
which
I am adoring that.
is something that the original Star Wars films had that
Yes.
they really needed to go back to and retouch on.
Yeah, and I think using, like, the real sets and, you know, minimal CG for stuff, I think has really helped cement
That was actually something I was noticing, too, is that they only use CG when something is too
it's
large or too
practical.
complicated. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Which was...
Looking at you, George Lucas.
The beginning intro scene was great.
All right, so that's the intro, and I think it really set the tone for the show. So I was very excited going into this after
How
that.
morbid was it? Oh, Salacious Crumb. How morbid was it that they had that Salacious Crumb species fucking dude in the cage watching the other of his species be
That
cooked,
was
by the
pretty
way?
awesome.
Like, knowing that that's a sentient creature, that's fucked up.
I like how
In
you
future
jumped
reference, we
far
might need to
all
move
ahead.
this microphone because
Yeah,
Tom
yeah,
keeps
yeah,
hitting it.
Yeah.
He's so
I like
animated.
how far you jumped ahead. I have my notes here, and
Yeah.
I'm like,
Let's try to stick in an order.
Chinese molded Muppets. Because after starting scene, it's like the taxi droids.
Oh, yeah.
So there was like a droid came up, or the guy was blowing the flute, and a taxi came up, and it was a droid driving. What's up with the no droids? Then this guy with a clunker comes up, and he's like, "Okay, I'll take this." I'm like, "Really? I
Right?
might call back the droid."
I'm like, what's with the droid prejudice here? Like, I want to find out what the hell that's about.
I feel like there's something deep to that character about the droid.
I think
like,
so.
otherwise they wouldn't put it in.
Oh,
the
yeah,
show
it-
so
it's a
specifically.
deep grudge. You can tell
Yeah,
off of
and
it.
like that scene was made to identify.
Yeah.
a deep grudge.
It's
yeah.
there
Yeah.
for a reason. But I thought it was pretty, like, given, you know,
I
they're
don't-
doing really good at character
I had a
building
hard
them.
time with that scene though. Like that really stretched my suspension of disbelief.
What, him not taking the droid car?
No, just the way that whole scene was set up. He goes up, talks to the guy. The guy plays a flute, and then out of the nothingness, this car comes floating in, right?
You play Zelda where you blow a flute and a fucking whirlwind comes in.
Yeah, but that's a fucking video game. What? Hold on. What bugs me?
This is an imaginary universe with lightsabers and blasters.
Okay, so
And
suspension of
droids.
disbelief is already stretched. You know, there's fire in space. You know. What gets me though, is that I'm sitting there watching where this first car goes, and then where this other car comes from. I'm like, wait a minute. Why the fuck is that car going all the way around the back of
Right.
town, and then this car is coming out from the back of town? Like, you would think he would just do a quick U-turn. If the shop's over there, he would just do a quick U-turn.
Maybe he quick U-turn to
Maybe
the right.
it's like airport lanes. You know, you have to.
You
go
have
do
to
the-
go that
Yeah,
way or
it
some
could be.
shit. You know?
So you don't wreck because people are
yeah.
dumb.
Well, it made me wonder...
In this snowstorm, that's like sight is shit.
Start to wonder if there was something about the show that got confirmed later on in the second episode, that what they're doing to world build, where they just drop you in and things start happening without explanation. And so, for
To let
example,
you come to your own conclusions.
right, something like that. Because I actually had to sit there and think about the different logic behind that vehicle going that way rather than just going around. I'm like, okay, that's kind of what they want you to do with this show, is fill in the blanks yourself.
And this is where I touch you on the shoulder and tell you you're thinking too hard.
So he's dragging the guy. He
Yeah.
gets to the car.
What did he call his ship?
I don't remember, but the ship looks like ovaries to me.
I thought it was Razor or something, but I could be wrong.
But I thought was really interesting, if we're going to jump forward to the ship, they actually did a great job making a subtle nod to the complications canonically of technology between episodes 1, 2, and 3, and then 4, 5, and 6.
Mm-hmm.
Because he gets into the ship, and right off the bat, LED screens start booting up, like advanced technology, which is something you do not see in episode 4, 5, and 6.
Right.
This is post episode 6. So it would make no sense, except then that blue guy's like, oh, it's a classic, and lists off a timeline, which actually puts it in episode, I think it was like episode 2 timeline.
Yeah.
I'm like, that is a beautiful way to reintroduce more plausible technology into the world, is to simply say that that's classic technology coming forward. I love
Which
that
is still weird that they had that years prior and not in 4, 5,
Why
6.
didn't they just
But
go
I
back to
digress.
knobs and diodes, right?
I'm more of like, man, all their technology looks clunky as fuck.
That's what I like
Which
about
is
Star
great.
Wars.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at it, the whole motif behind Star Wars is that everything feels haphazardly slapped together. Like, the entire galaxy is stretched of resource, stretched of manpower, and under the constant threat and pressure of war. And whenever you have an environment like that, you get slapped together technology.
Yeah.
I mean, I
look
understand
at
that.
World War
I'm just
II,
saying,
you
like,
know?
man, I am sick of this bargain bin shit.
You're like, I need my
here's why
my
I-
sleek,
like-
sexy new hotness, right?
I think it fits perfectly, not only for the character but for the world that they're building. Especially because, like, if it's taking place after 6, which we're not sure where in the timeline it is yet. At least I don't.
I actually am almost positive I know exactly where it is in the timeline.
If you look at it, especially, like, it's coming from a time of the original Star Wars, so to speak, where you're looking at, like, late 70s, early 80s. So everything was very clunky then, and then for them to go back to that, like, I can see what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for the Star Wars universe
You
itself,
gotta
I think
stay
it fits.
with the established mythos.
No, I'm talking about
And
like,
that I felt really out of place with 1, 2, and 3 because he fucking made everything more modern, techie looking.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
yeah, I understand that, but I'm like the Mando's optical scope, how it has like the transition lines, like
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, man. Modern day, just use glasses, fucking scopes it in a more clearer image than that.
He can't with his helmet, no.
His helmet should have better technology than that scope.
So, as we already touched upon, so he gets him in the ship and all
Yeah.
that stuff. He's like, I gotta go to the bathroom, which, of course, he doesn't. And he's making excuses while he's down in the hole, and he's, like, looking through stuff. Yeah.
Why did he not take a weapon out of the locker?
Dude, it's a Mandalorian.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
I would have done the same goddamn thing. I would have closed that. I don't want a Mandalorian
Yeah.
thinking I'm posing some kind of any
Yeah,
kind of
I'm
threat
like,
to him.
"Nope."
The dude just hold on, think about it. The access of power there. The blue dude was getting his ass handed to him by some thugs. He was afraid of the thugs. The Mando soloed all of those thugs. The Mando's going
With no
to
effort, by the way.
I'm like, gun or not, the Mando's gonna fuck him up.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's for me.
What?
Take myself out because
Like, I'm done.
yeah, because I'm like, if you're gonna get dragged to like somebody like Jabba, you're like, nope, and to myself, it's like, hey guy, don't make me do it. Don't make me do it. Or like Persona.
And then Mando
Don't-
would just shoot you anyways. So obviously Mando catches him down there, and then he fucking carbonites him. And I thought what was a really cool touch that I don't really recall happening in episode 5, when Han got carbonite, the saliva.
Yes, actually, that is a thing.
Is it?
Yeah, if you take a look on the original look, there is what looks like saliva coming out of his.
Okay, well, it comes off way better in this. And
Yes.
like, when they showed like all the carbonite slabs, you could see the salivas, and like I thought that was just a really cool.
The other thing that was really interesting about that was that whenever they first used the carbonite in episode 5, They were just theorizing that it would work. That was
Yeah,
them
they were
testing
testing.
around the idea. And then to see that later on that a bounty hunter is using
using it.
ships, I'm like, that is a nice expansion on that. Because
Yeah.
absolutely, as soon as you find out you can do that with bounties, I would be down for
Oh yeah,
freezing
absolutely.
everybody. You know?
He basically collects the bounties. They unload his ship, and they're all floating. And I thought that was also cool, like seeing all of them float, and like they weren't even controlling it. They're just like,
Oh, yeah.
all right, you go down there, and it just kind of like knew its place.
But
Right.
when the ship landed, did you see the other ships in there?
I did not.
Did you? Oh, you didn't recognize them.
Oh, actually, before that, when they took off from the ice planet, and fucking Walrus Godzilla got the
That was
ship,
so dope, right?
and then he just fucking tases him off of there.
I didn't
Yeah.
catch the Outrider.
I believe it was the Outrider. My dorky drawings is a circle and another tube. So
Well, okay,
yeah.
that top one's the USS Enterprise, and the other one is what my
Wait,
penis
wait,
looks
wait.
like in the morning.
Well, not Enterprise, but like it's the what was it? Defiant, which is that. You know? Yeah.
Fuck,
Listen.
Worf be getting a burger and hop.
Okay, then.
All right, so they touch down. You talk about the ships.
Yeah.
They've
And-
unloaded the bounties,
Yeah,
and he
actor.
goes in to speak with Carl fucking Weathers. So he offers him a bounty that doesn't have a disc or puck, a bounty puck.
No,
Feel
he
the
get
ire
he-
seizing
no.
in me. as you-
when he offered the money for it, I
Oh,
was
yeah, the
like,
money first.
I was like, son of a bitch! I can like, oh, here's this money. That's Imperial credits, bro.
Yeah.
That's like
That
we're
was
shit
great.
right now. It's like, well, I have like Jello, and I'm like, I'll take those. And then the Mon Calamari credits, I was like, freaking Jello money, really? Oh, I was laughing so hard.
Holds a higher value at the time.
But for me, I would have been like taking that and the Imperial credits. For me, that's what I would have done as the Mando. I would have been like both.
The Mando did try to take all of his available jobs, and he's like, hell no, man. You gotta let other people get some work. Which I thought was hilarious.
Right, which actually opens the door for a lot of other guild members. Like, I
Yeah.
love the fact that just by having that concept included in the story and the design of the Mando as a character, that they can have this constant revolving door of long-term or short-term supporting cast members.
Yeah.
Which is great because I feel like he very much needs, with him being such a
Loner
subdued personality, he plays off of other people perfectly.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
gotta have somebody supporting with him.
Yeah. He's definitely a character that you bounce off of, like,
Yes.
with his reactions and
Right.
stuff. After that,
And that's when he gets offered the job.
yeah, the other job.
Yeah.
Yep. The special job that you have to go on site to talk to.
Yeah.
And that gave him a very badass walk to the area in a well-lit scene, which I really appreciated, so I could see the armor and that's all its glory.
Oh,
So,
Yes.
so my first thought reminded me, not the armor itself, but the colors of traditional samurai armor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like my very first thought when you finally see him walking.
Straight up, the guy exudes Samurai Jack. That is exactly who I get, like, feeling right off the bat. That's Samurai Jack.
I was just like, wow, that's nice armor, and the scene's so well lit. That's what I got out of it.
What I love, I love the full cape. None of this Boba Fett, like, half cape thing. He's got the full
shoulder
cape
cape,
going
yeah.
on, you know?
Fucking Batman style.
The door opens,
Not the spiral door, by the way. Very
Yeah.
disappointed in that.
and 4 troopers and one big old dude in a chair.
That was probably the biggest tell for the timeline.
Yes.
As to where it's located.
Yeah, like the degradation of their armor.
Right. Well, okay, did you also notice the red coloration?
Yeah.
Okay. And yet the planet that they were not on was red.
Yeah.
So that stuck out in my head. And I feel like that's going to be called back to later.
Oh, absolutely. I think it will.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm almost positive that this. See, here's the thing. Okay, the First Order was established like like maybe 1-2 years after the fall of the Emperor. Like he had that plan set to launch immediately after his death.
Right.
Okay. Which means that this has to be no more than a year or 2 after Return of the Jedi. That's critical for a theory that I have rolling in my head that we will get to later.
Yeah, I'll tell you a silly theory. I'm like, are they really Imperial?
Well, yeah, because they're hiding. I think they're really Imperial. One, I think because Carl Weathers with the Imperial credits brings that into play. where the Imperials are more underground, waiting to seize their power back. That's what it felt like to me.
As if they are trying to reestablish themselves into the First Order right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, my only weird thought is, like, why do they want them alive? The target alive? That's the biggest
I
question.
have
the
theories on that too, actually.
I do too. Which we'll get to after we reveal who the target is. So they're sitting there talking. I can't remember the dude's name because, no notes. And then he brings in, like, his science buddy, I guess?
No, he barges in accidentally.
Yes,
Yeah.
which, again, an absolutely critical clue that I, again, going back to my theory, that I think is a tip-off to...
The timeline.
Well, no, not the timeline, but the target.
And, of course, at that point, like, all the... Boba, Jesus Christ. Mando draws his gun, and then all the stormtroopers take aim.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they have this
Mexican
Truxican standoff.
Truxican.
I'm going Borderlands here. So they have this standoff, and then of course the big dude in charge is like, no. And Mando's like, 5-1, pretty good odds to me. And I was just like, 4-1, and I was just like, holy fuck, this guy is a badass. The scientist guy or whatever comes in. He's there. That's when the standoff happens, and they're talking about the target. He's 50 years old. And that initially it was supposed to only be wanted alive, but then the guy's like, wanted dead or alive, and that's when the scientist is like, we didn't agree to that. And then we don't see anything more on that early, so I'm really wondering what's going to happen there. Did they kill him? What, did I miss something? You have, like, wide eyes.
Okay. Damn it. It'll have to wait till later.
Okay. And so my initial thought, because I didn't quite know where the timeline was, I thought they were going to go after Luke.
Oh, really?
Yes, 50 years old. So I was thinking, okay,
Yeah, that
so
would've
it's
been
like
a
30
nice-
years. Yeah. So I was thinking it's set like 25, 30 years after Return of the Jedi. And I was like, maybe the 50-year-old they're going after is Luke because he was the Jedi that pretty much defeated the Empire. So why wouldn't they want to fucking bring him in?
Right.
And then why wouldn't they care if he was dead or alive?
Right.
So I thought it was Luke. Which, obviously, we find out that's not the case. But I was like, oh, man, like, my brain racked. I was like, oh, my God, Luke? I was like, is Mark Hamill going to be in this series? And I got my hopes up because I fucking love Mark Hamill.
Yes. And he loves us.
He
Mark
does.
Hamill loves us.
So, moving on, he gets... There was a puck at that point, right?
Yeah, he got the puck. No IDs, no anything. Very
Just
shady
the age.
deal.
What was it? Last 4 digits of the code was what
Yeah.
he said.
Yeah. And then he took the job, and then he left, and we had the walk where we watched that other Muppet getting roasted by another Muppet, and then I was like, those Muppets
satisfied.
are made overseas because, oh man, those eyes are cross-eyed. Then the next thing was like he got paid early commission with like a bar. I thought that was money first. Then they told me, then he went to the other blacksmith.
Hold on. How low was that dig that Imperial officer gave that Mandalorian when he was like, "It's nice to see it back in Mandalorian hands. It's good to see the natural order of things restored." Which I took, and this is part of why you got such a response out of the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Was I took that as him referencing the fact that the Mandalorians served the Empire beforehand, and they actually fucked the Mandalorians in doing it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow, why did he not just shoot him right fucking there?
I didn't know that because I don't know
See,
the lore.
I knew that.
I know the
I was
movies.
like,
That's
but
it.
that didn't stick in my head because I'm like, oh, I'll kill you later. That was my thought
Which
process.
I'm sure he will because we all know he's not going to give the target up.
I am pretty sure he's gonna John Wick the fuck out of this.
Oh, I
place.
fucking hope so, man.
Yeah.
The target's the dog.
I have John Wick action figures. Oh, nice.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So then the blacksmith with the Spartan helmet, I thought that was
Yes, that was
fucking
excellent.
sick as
touch.
Hold on,
shit.
let's talk about that whole scene
That
for a
sequence was
second.
really good.
Yes, that entire sequence was great because you got to see for the first time some like
Emotional
deep
backstory.
Mandalorian culture. Like even seeing the kids running around with their helmets on, and that keeping the helmet on is such a critical part of Mandalorian culture. That was a beautiful, beautiful.
And the hand-me-down armors and
Yes,
shit like
well,
that.
and how he's even like, she was like, "This will sponsor a bunch of foundlings," and he's like, "I was a foundling too," and you're like, "What the fuck is a foundling?" And he goes into the flashback. You're like,
Hold on.
"Oh,
Let's
he's-
talk about the flashback scene because it was every hit of the armor it showed a flashback.
Yeah.
And I thought
yeah.
that was such a brilliantly executed scene. I thought that was just really well done showing his backstory in these hits of armor with with the leftovers residuals going to be handed down. Like I thought that was just so well done.
To orphans, no less. Which I'm assuming there are a lot of, given
Probably,
the state of everything.
Yeah.
I would have added something to it. Like I would have something that made it make more sense. Like she puts it into the machine and it liquefies, and then you watch her kind of mold it into a rough form first, and you see her doing different techniques to it, like welding or something, and then you can kind of understand, or using some kind of electronic device, something that made it seem a little bit more modern, and therefore the time lapse was a little bit more believable. Like you don't even have to go into detail, you just have to hint to the idea that there's a modern process.
Yeah, but like that takes away time from doing the flashbacks, which Clint really was drawn to. I really like the flashbacks too and how they did it. I'm like, they could like expand the world of that blacksmithing, but like you think about it,
and that still could happen
click,
too.
Click, pat, pat, and it's just like got that scene, got that information to move on to something else interesting. I'll complain about the armor later in episode 2.
You have beefs with the armor?
When it came apart?
Before it came up,
we'll get there.
Then he done with the flashbacks. Then he goes to tracking his first target.
Yes,
he gets to a planet.
I love that Ugnaught. He is the coolest.
Right?
He's just awesome.
I have spoken.
Yeah.
Nick Nolte played it so good.
That was Nick Nolte?
Yes.
Amazing.
Okay. We need to do the bullshit surprise. I have it in my notes as bullshit surprise.
Take it away, Dang.
Okay. It really annoys me. He walks out in a very open area, high ground, walks out, puts a binocular like this, zooms to one target, zooms to another target.
I can assist Dang in ripping this scene apart because you're right. He has high ground. It's clear. When he lands, you see that it is a clear field of view going all the way down that cliff. Okay? He brings the scope up. And then suddenly there's one of those beasts within 20 feet of him. It is like a 25-foot-long, giant, fat fish with legs.
Yeah.
And he did not hear it. He didn't. And it's screaming and roaring at him.
Yeah.
And it's point blank. Like, how?
It's the
plot
traditional
device.
Jump scare. Rah! It's just like, you just teleported there. Insert spawn monster, you know?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that made me feel like he wasn't so badass at that point because of that stupid, ugly-looking fish monster.
It really did detract from his... Well, and then, can we move on?
It bit his armor, tore into his armor.
That would have broken his arm. Like,
then,
I do not care what kind of fucking space age armor you're doing. Something bites your forearm and then picks you up and flails you around. You have lost use of that elbow.
And then, what was it? He flamethrowered the mouth. It did nothing. And then the other guy shows up.
He's just like...
Trank darts.
Yeah, with trank darts. Fast-acting trank darts.
Can we move on to the horse training scene? Because that actually pissed me off.
Me too!
That pissed me off too.
Right, dude. Horse Whisperer. I have it written down as fucking Horse Whisperer.
Yeah, I put Fish Whisperer.
And my first thing, it's like, you need to learn how to ride this. And first thing that came to my mind, motherfucking spaceships. I can fly over any terrain that
Hold on. Before he travels to fucking Durotar, let's talk about the fact that the guy, he's like, your ancestors rode the ancient Mythobeast. I'm like, or Mythosaurus. I'm like, really, you couldn't come up with a more plausible name than Mythosaurus? Are you fucking kidding me? Look, the Orcathor. There you go. The Trognathoth. Just something.
The Trogdor.
The Lopakada.
The Beast.
The Rufflecopter.
Right, something other than Mythosaur? Are you fucking... And then he's like, you should go ride it or whatever the fuck. And then the Mandalorian walks out and, hey. Like, they could have had a simple transition where he's like, well, what do you expect me to do? Have you tried being nice to it?
Yeah.
Which actually would have developed the Mandalorian a little bit more as a character, because so far you've seen him use brute force on everything.
Yeah.
And then this Ugnaught teaches him maybe to try and approach things nicely, and it benefits him. That's an expansion on the Mando's character that they completely missed, that they absolutely needed, because that would have set the scene for the shit coming up.
Taming bullshit done, then they ride
the
to
montage fucking ride
through Durotar. Was that not Durotar?
Yeah,
Like,
it was
to a
totally
T.
World of Warcraft.
Right.
Not only that, I really felt like the terrain didn't matter enough to actually learn to ride that thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, why?
It's not that fast.
Why would a
it didn't look like the train was rocky enough. Like
right,
he could
why
have
would
just...
a land speeder not be able to traverse that terrain?
Land speeder or a spaceship. Goddamn fucking spaceship.
Spaceship, well, maybe
If
they
you
wanted the
took a
element of
spaceship,
surprise.
Yeah, then they'd know you're coming.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
That's what the big guns are for.
See, Dang has a weird method for bounty hunting,
Yes.
apparently. To just glass the area.
Not glass. Shoot all the escaping ships.
Glass the area.
It's like if they can't escape, I have an easier time tracking them down because they don't have fast.
Right, but if
road
you're getting the
travel.
jump on them and they don't know you're there, well, you're taking them out anyways, and then you can go
Well,
through
if
their
you were
ships instead
given
of blowing them
the
up.
location at the start, you could have parked a little far away.
Yeah, true. Anyways, it's complete bullshit. We all agree
Yeah.
on
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
that. Okay.
And we learn why he fucking hates droids.
Speaking of droids, there's one scene with the gonk droid that just went gonk.
Yes, I love that. I loved IG 11. Although that...
I think he's gonna come back.
That actually pissed me off a little bit.
Is that
because,
Ig or a different?
No, it's Ig.
No.
Well, not the Ig. No.
Which is really
droid
okay.
type.
Let me explain. The IG series was a series made by a specific droid engineer specifically to kill people. Okay, they were deemed unethical and illegal. So IG 88 killed all of them and then killed the guy who created them. So for them to have an IG 11 running around, shit all over all of that. On top of that, the fact that he's IG 11 means he predates IG 88.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you trying to tell me that there are...
I don't think he's an exact Ig droid. I think he's a variant of an Ig droid.
His name is like if you watch the subtitles, he's Ig.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it is
Okay.
IG 11.
Because I'm like, the
Which
eyes
really
look
bothered me.
off.
Right.
Like they're not on the
Yeah.
correct
Well, right, and that
rotation.
could be because it's also the earlier models.
That's
Yeah.
because IG 88 is insane and has physically modified himself from the base set. So I could be wrong about that canon, and we'll have to fact check me on the IG series, but I'm almost positive that's what happened to the IG
Maybe
series.
it's extended universe and you're out of luck. And the gunfight.
Hold on. That gunfight was amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
IG was awesome in that.
Yeah.
I love
But
IG.
he's just like, dude. Okay, I actually wrote down gun kata from fucking.
Right?
Yeah.
Just bam, bam, bam.
I was just like, holy shit, he's in the movie.
And then
I'm
he's
like, where's
like-
Christian Bell?
And then he's like, we're screwed, activating
That's
self-destruct.
just
Right? I love that was his like answer to everything.
Self-destruct. Do not self-destruct.
Yeah.
And I thought that was actually a really good moment, like seeing like Mando just be like, "Do not!" like seeing him freaking out.
Yeah.
Like it brought like this almost like odd couple thing to
Yes.
it, and I loved it.
And-
I love their dynamic.
And
Yes.
when they brought in the turn-in floating
The turret.
turn-in placement, and I was like, them going crazy, and it's like, I got a plan. And it's like, okay, new plan. So you go that way, and I'll deal with the turret. And it's like, and they did their freaking rodeo shit and stuff.
That was weird though,
very
because if
spaghetti
you
westernness.
notice, rewatch that scene again. The spacing is really weird.
It is.
Because it starts off with that gun being pretty far out, then being way back, and then
it was
in the
inside.
process of like 2 steps, it's within grappling hook distance. That
Yeah.
made
Yeah.
no sense.
I understand that, but I have
And that like really could have just come down to edits too
Yeah.
for time. So who knows?
The door scene where they're like, "I got, how are we gonna get
Get
this?"
that.
And then just
They
both
just
look
at it.
I'm in my notes. I have some blast door because it. and Brendan was like, I'm pretty sure, like the scenes before, the door got shot and sparked a lot.
It did.
And it's like, oh, now story dictates that it's made out of paper. Then walked in and was like, laughed because the target, and they were like, oh, and the droid's like gonna kill it. And it's like, I have it as alive. Something shady going
That's
on.
I know right off the bat. He's like the instructions
Needs
were
to come
very
in dead.
explicit to
Yeah.
kill it. I'm like, it got sent by somebody else, which is a whole.
Well, right, and not only that, to go back a little bit, when Mando got there, Ig shot at him, and he's like, "Yo, I'm a bounty hunter," and he's like, "I'm a bounty hunter," and they didn't know either one were on the mission.
Right. So something weird's going on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the betrayal.
I was sad about that. I hope they fix him actually, because I like him.
I was gonna say,
I think he's gonna go back and like they'll fix him and he becomes like his partner.
yes, like and that becomes a grudge between the two of them. Like for the rest of the show,
Right.
he's like, I'm gonna get you back one.
But then that'll also give Mando a chance to start seeing droids as something other than what he currently sees them, and that we don't know.
Maybe his relation to Ig is what draws out the backstory behind why he doesn't like droids.
Yep.
Which, again, I would absolutely
Which would be
love.
great. I would love that too. Yeah.
But I do love the fact that the Mando was such a softie that he saved the baby anyway.
yeah.
Because he had instructions, dead or alive. He could have done.
But he
it
also
easy.
gets more money alive.
Alive. They specifically said
No,
alive.
they told him dead
No,
or alive
uh.
when they were in the room with the stormtroopers.
I swear the scientist was alive. Then they
No,
said,
yeah.
"We'll
If
kill him
things
for
get
less."
complicated.
Yeah. And I was like, but they wanted live in the beginning.
But the whole tell right there is that last silhouette scene where the pod is floating there and you see that little hand come up and then the Mando sticks his finger out. You're like, he's a fucking softie too.
Gizmo Yoda phone home.
Yeah.
Oh.
ET phone home. Yeah.
I am so conflicted about that little fucking baby. Starting off, I actually love the design of the character.
He's so cute.
I think he's adorable.
Oh, fuck yeah,
he's
he is.
fun. Adding him as a an additional component emotionally to the Mando, it just works perfectly. I love him. Okay, there is a thing about Yoda's race. Yoda's race, you have never seen another Yoda. On top of that, they've never even mentioned the name of the race.
Yes.
And that race, Yoda's race, has been mentioned as exceptionally capable in the Force. Right off the bat, they're like, the Force is in this show too. And I was livid. I was desperate for a fucking Star Wars show that did not revolve around the Force. And that's what really mars the baby for me, because I am in love with that character, but I know they're going to use its Force powers irresponsibly.
So we good on the end of episode 1?
Yes.
The ending
Right.
credits look nice.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yes.
Little retelling of the
Yeah.
story in art form.
Well,
Yeah.
not only that, but did you guys ever take a look at the original concept artwork for Star Wars? Mm-hmm. It is all done in the exact same stylization as that original.
Yeah, I thought
like
it was
that
a
gave
good
me
nod.
warm and fuzzies. Yeah.
Like all the art was like oil paintish kind of style, so
Right.
that's why I was like, oh, I appreciate
Yeah,
that. I
and
appreciate
it
that.
even the original posters, they kind of harkened back to that, and I
Right.
thought that was just a nice subtle touch.
Right. And
Like,
that's the
good
thing that
callback.
I'm loving about this show is that it really is exciting all of that. Like my inner fucking 7-year-old is coming out and feeling like I'm getting the first real Star
Right.
Wars content in a very,
Very long
long
time.
time. And so it's like just screaming to the front of favorite Star Wars media for me, you know?
All right. So that's the end of episode 1. We'll be back with episode 2.
Okay, it started out basically him walking away from the base, right, with the baby
With the
in
baby.
tow.
Yeah.
You see the Force drawing animals
Actually,
in.
Oh, the animals. Yeah.
Animals in. Then the animals scattered once they, got the other bounty hunters coming in. Then that's when you got the little standoff, and
Well,
that.
we don't know they're bounty hunters when they first jump them. It's hinted when you see the blinking light in the belt.
I knew because I think there were.
Those are bounty hunter fobs.
Yeah,
That's
Trandoshans, or that's something
those are
else?
Trandoshans.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And
The lizard guys,
Trandoshans
yeah.
are primarily bounty hunters.
Okay, see, well, this is where I bring in no knowledge of Star Wars.
Well,
So
I
to
know.
me, I'm like, I see the blinking light, and I'm like, okay, they're probably bounty hunters, but we don't know for sure. I was like, maybe it's a bomb.
Yeah. So
Thermal detonator.
Exactly. Blinky red light. Maybe something happened when he dropped down.
What did you think of the fight?
I thought it was awesome.
It was all right.
I hated it a little bit because like the axe was just rolling off his clothes and stuff like that. I'm like, it didn't look like it was hitting him in the shoulder plates. Like we saw like him get cut like here, but it looked like it hit there and then rolled
It's
off.
on this side.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I think
But
they were
camera's on
doing
this
that
side.
to establish. That was to me a way of establishing the level of power and force being used, not in the terms of literal force, but
Yeah.
the level of power and force being used against him throughout the different conflicts he's dealing with. They show
Yeah.
that these axes glance off of his armor, and
Mm-hmm.
then later on in the show, we see what deals real damage to him, and that establishes a
Durability level.
benchmark for how much he can take.
And I was like, the target is already with him. So I'm like hijacking a bounty while another bounty hunter has the target. That's bad honor code usage.
I'm actually starting to get the impression that there's another guild involved. And
I'm assuming so because
Right.
Or he's not a legal hunter on this because he doesn't have the true code running and all
or
that stuff.
bounty hunters are just assholes, which
Yeah.
seems extremely likely given the things.
Yeah,
they do.
because
Could be,
like
yeah.
you, there's bounty hunters that break the code. Yeah, it could be just that simple situation.
Yeah.
And it moves on to the night where you see him fixing his wounds with a mini blowtorch thingy.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where I have my first problem with the armor. The chest plate snaps off.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's. Don't you find that awful?
No.
Not really.
That's okay. So
I see it more as like ease of usage and easy to get in and out of.
think about the modern structural design behind that armor. Okay, you have a reinforced fiber undersuit, like a jumpsuit kind of thing. It's reinforced. It obviously has technological components running through it. That's why we see the different weird lines and hosings going through it and stuff like that. And I always kind of wondered, like looking at Boba Fett, okay, well then that means it has to connect to something somewhere. And I always assumed it was his helmet. But when they showed that, they showed and the shoulder when she put it on the first episode, that actually was a hint to the idea that, and it lent to Mandalorian culture that what they do is they have a suit of armor. And then they slowly upgrade it over time, and they manage
It's almost
it
like
on
slide on parts.
Right. And so the fact that it comes on and off referenced the fact that his shoulder also came on and off because there was exact same circuitry on that shoulder glowing underneath when she put it on. So that established right off the bat, well, if that's how that shoulder works, that must be how the chest piece work, the leg pieces work, and stuff like that. And then to see that
Kind of sets the
damage,
precedent for it.
right?
See, I'm okay with like how they showed the Under Armour and stuff like that. My issue was there were clip-on locations for the things. So think of it as like attack the little clippy joints and they snap off kind of thing. Of like,
I actually assumed that he has some kind of release mechanism because that seems like it when she put the shoulder pad on, she had to clip it and lock it on.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that, I mean, think about it. If you've got a suit of armor that's technologically advanced like that, and you do maintenance, repairs, and replacements and stuff like that, then you would have some kind of lock-unlock mechanism.
See, which would make sense with everything else that he's done that we've seen so far. Obviously,
Right.
like the flamethrower, the grappling, tasing from it.
Right, exactly. And this is just me speculating as to the technology at hand.
Controlling
here.
Yoda's little
see,
crib.
for me,
Right.
I saw like points where it's like the button snaps on like jackets where you kind of button clip. Click,
Right,
click,
but I
click.
mean, this is a world where they have, car-sized vehicles that can fly from planet to planet and swords made out of light that cut through everything. Oh my god, that scene where he even tries to heal him with the Force.
Yeah.
As soon as he, closed his eyes, I'm like, don't you do it, don't you do it. Like, I was getting mad at it like it was my own kid. Like, knock it off, I will put you in the corner.
Yeah. I was laughing because I'm like, the bounty hunter's like, what the hell are you doing? Just
It was
get back in the
adorable.
basket.
Right? Actually, I was like, oh, now they're going to make a game out of it. And so, like, they did it twice. And then later on in the episode, it happened again. I was like, there's the game.
And he's like, let me finish the game. Close the basket.
I
Yeah.
love that view. It's just hilarious because he's like, and then it just slams. That was adorable.
Oh, you really do have a love-hate with this.
I do, because I love the character. I just hate what it could
What it's gonna
potentially
represent.
represent.
Yeah.
Like, I'm hopeful that they don't do it, but
It's really hard to gauge with 2 episodes, you know?
exactly.
Yeah. So after the
Well,
night,
actually, hold on. I'm going to expand on that. I mean, and as we see later on, like, it takes a toll on him.
It
And then
does.
he was out for
Which
the whole day. So
actually-
that might actually be the
And that made me happy because that's exactly what they did. They established it, showed it as a
then
as
took
a
it away.
potential ability, right?
Careful with the table because we're shaking.
Oh yeah, and then took it away immediately. I'm like, that's how you handle power
Yeah.
like that.
So we'll see.
yeah. And then from there, he moved to going back to his spaceship and finding
It in
Jawas.
pieces.
Yeah, Jawas and it in pieces. Then he took out his rifle and just started blasting off like, yes, fucking murder.
And they're just like
Hold on, hold on.
exploding.
Disintegration. Remember when he was like, and no disintegration? I'm like, I want to see what disintegrating like. Now I get to see they're
Right?
getting disintegrated.
Yeah, it was so
I
awesome.
was
The clothes are
excited.
just like plopping down.
Yeah.
Not only that, but like you'd see them get hit and lift up, and then you hear, "Pwah!" It was the most satisfying disintegration I'd ever seen, and it was on Jawas, no less.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then afterwards, it's like the chase scene ensues because they're like, oh shit, we gotta get out of here. And it was like chasing, and they were just throwing like junk off. And he
Fucking
was
Baby Yoda chasing in the
That actually
fun.
pissed me off because the whole time I'm like, what about Baby Yoda?
And then just like him like just trying to climb up and dealing with
Okay,
the
hold on. I got this one.
Okay.
When he starts climbing, right? And everyone's throwing shit at him, and then he fucking grapple hooks to the top, and then starts climbing the wall like 60s Batman. You're clearly not as excited about that as I am.
No.
Except the celebrities of the week are more Jawas throwing shit at him.
What about the one that like tried to poke him out the window and he just grabbed him and
It
just
just
chucked up?
chucked him, and I was like, oh shit. And then of course those little bastards are like, oh, he's attached to this gun. Well, let's just take out the gun, which is very smart that they actually had like the enemy be smart enough to take out the thing he was attached to.
And then he just falls.
And then he just falls. Or no, he gets to the top because he didn't fall
that's
from that.
right, yeah.
He gets to the top, and then they just fucking tase his ass off, and he just like backflops onto the ground.
Well, that was actually really cool. See,
I loved it.
that was great composition because before they had just established that his armor is technological. What did they hit him with? The fucking ion gun.
Right.
They shut down all the technology in his
They EMP'd his ass.
They did. I'm like, that's good. It's great writing.
Yeah, they so far, yeah, I think they've done a fantastic job. Obviously, we're only 2 episodes in, but I'm excited.
So he craters on the side, and he gets back up, goes, and I'm like, get up and start chasing them again. It's like, you're gonna get to their base and you're gonna murder them in their sleep. You'll be fine.
I killed them, even the youngling. How long was he unconscious? How long did poor Baby Yoda sit floating in that little basket thing exposed to the sun? Right?
Well, he's got the Force. He just fucking throws blankets over his
Force
face.
shield.
he ate a very hydrated frog earlier. So.
Oh, that's true. He did eat
I
the
love
frog.
that scene. Get that out of
Get
your
it in your
mouth.
mouth. Oh, wait, no, that was later because it was when he's with the I have
not-
spoken.
Yeah,
But-
I love that guy.
Yeah, me too. I really. Yeah, we'll get there.
Gets his buddy, the Ugnaught, and just be like, oh no, he goes back, check his ship. Finds it's just fucking in shambles. Then goes back to the Ugnaught and be like, yo, bro, I need a place to crash. It's like, yo, bro, I'll help you out with the Jawas. And then just riding a boat of all things being dragged across the desert, and then they get into the argument. It's like, oh man, they hated you. Oh, they looks like they hate you. It's like, yeah, I fucking disintegrated.
I killed like 14 of them.
It's like, yeah, they're not gonna talk to you with their guns. Well, let me just empty out my rounds right now, and maybe we can get to some discussing. But no, puts them away.
What bugged me was that the Jawas were still cool with dealing with the guy who just killed like 20 of them.
Maybe because they're like, well, we did take from his ship, so.
And
And you
they're,
caught us in the act.
and they're bargaining back.
Jawa's whole culture is they're like, well, it's not the first time, it won't be the last.
Right. and yeah, then making a bargain for his own
That
shit
was
back.
fucking hilarious.
When he flamethrower, I'm like, yeah, murder all of them. And then it's like, Ugnaught's like, yo, bro, come on, calm down. I'm like,
But see,
See, that's why he needs the Ugnaught on his ship.
I actually feel like the
moral
Ugnaughts gonna
compass,
play.
yeah.
Right, and what he's doing is he's actually playing the role of the mentor.
After the bargaining, even though he should have killed them all, I'm still stuck on that. The Jawa's like, we'll do a trade for the egg. I was like,
that.
what the?
I was like, there better fucking be a dragon coming out of this egg or some shit.
almost.
So they go to the cave, go down. He looks, and the hairy rhino pops out.
The eye opens up when he's
Yeah.
in there, like, looking.
Yeah.
Yoda's outside. There's
Yeah.
like this ambiance, and then
Which
then you see, like, you hear the blaster
Established a
fire.
bizarre sense of scale, by the way, because that initial eye seemed like it was about that big according to the scene setup.
Yeah.
And then when it comes out, it's like, it's that big. And the thing's just like the size of a Clydesdale or something.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a letdown. The whole time, I'm like, crate dragon. Be a crate dragon. Be a crate dragon.
Yeah, and pops out of the cave. I'm like, oh, money as hell. Reminds me of the Bear-Off in Monster Hunter.
Right?
Except for a hairy rhino. And then, and the fight ensues of him getting his ass kicked and getting hit in the armor, and those little, like, jacket little pop pins just, like, pop off, and it's just all hanging by, like, a
To be
couple
fair,
pins.
he got hit hard a lot.
What
By a dude with a horn, no
What
less.
bugged me was the killing blow. A
Yeah.
knife? Are you fucking kidding me?
Knife wouldn't go through the hide like that.
Well, on top of that, but you hear gunfire. He's a trained fucking Mandalorian. He's got disintegrating rounds, and you hear them going off. And it tanks it, but it can't handle a knife in the neck?
So he got slammed down, and then he's all getting up, and he's like, I got a knife. And he pulls it
And,
out,
oh, man,
and he's
like,
like, suicide.
I think
like,
actually,
yeah.
I think what I
hated
loved
that.
about I loved it. Here's why. Because it showed how fucking exhausted he was fighting this thing, but he wasn't. He was gonna
He
stay his
refused
last
to
breath.
die.
His last breath, he was gonna fight that fucker.
Right. He refused to die laying down. That again.
I thought that
That-
spoke tremendous amounts to his character.
Yes, absolutely.
It's
You know
actually-
what I saw? The fucking Force.
Oh, yeah.
God, that pissed me off so much. Like, I see his hands start to come up, his eyes close. I'm like, oh my god, he's even doing it exactly like Yoda. And sure as shit, the camera pans over, and he's lifting it up. And that whole scene seemed so jarring from the entire pace of the fight going on. Like, I would have been fine with him using the Force in some more subtle way, like he pulls the legs out from underneath it, like it trips or
Right.
something, and then falls, and then the Mando, pulls up a last bit of strength and then finishes it off. That would have been fine. But no, this extremely dramatic display of the ability to lift something like that and stop it from charging. I'm like, that's so too much, too fast.
See, that's one thing I hated. It's like, you get him with the daze and the stagger, and he lifts him up. And it holds there for a while. He's like, I'm not dead yet. And then he looks up, and then he sees it. And then he's like, oh, what the heck's going on? Then like, later on, he's like, oh, shit, I better stab it. And then he does, and it goes
Right.
down. And I was like, then it later on zooms in when he pushes in the knife. I'm like, that knife is like that deep. I'm like, that's not going to fucking kill
What'd you
it.
do? Hit an
The
artery
artery.
or a nerve stem or something?
Possible.
Let's see. Killing
I
blow
feel like
goes
there-
back into the cave to grab the egg. A hairy egg.
I was like, what is that? A
Extra
pile?
ew.
I was like, is this a pile of stringy meat? I'm
I
like,
thought he
Korean
was picking
barbecue?
up a baby at first. I was expecting it to unroll. I'm like, you're
What was it Wuffatuffles or whatever from fucking Sesame Street?
Snuffleupagus.
Snuffleupagus. I was close. I give myself points for being close.
Wuffatuffles?
I got the rhyme right
I'm
at least.
stealing that. Wuffatuffles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like there are going to be Star Wars nerds watching this, fact checking
And hating
the
us.
ever loving fuck out of us.
And that's cool. Let us know in the comments what you think and
Right.
where we're wrong.
We could be wrong. We don't give a fuck. We'll make
Well-
up new shit.
It's true. He does it all the time. All right.
Okay, and
They're
they go
not
back
wrong.
and they have their chat. The Jawas rave about the egg, slice it open,
Right.
and start just
It's just
going
like,
to town.
and I was like,
That
wait,
was
all that just to eat an
hilarious.
egg? I was like, oh, those motherfuckers swindled him good.
That was hilarious. I think what it was they sent him to die.
Oh, yeah,
That was their whole
absolutely.
game plan, was they were sending him to
Abso-fucking-lutely.
die.
And then if he wins, well, they get a tasty treat at the end of it.
Right?
And that egg was all yolk.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You're just watching them like scoop it out, and it was all stringy, and they're just like, oh, all in their Jawa
They went
face.
to town. It was like a bad Ron Jeremy.
Right? More like the Minion.
Then he got his shit back, and they drove.
Oh, no. So they get back to the ship with all the parts,
Uh-huh.
and then Mr. I Have Spoken guy helped them put it back together, because he's like, I'm a mechanic, yo.
In a classic 1980s montage.
Yes,
The
another
whole time
montage.
I'm like, gonna watch a montage.
Yes. But like, and that I think that really like attests to this guy's character and like why I want him to be more than what he's been so far.
Yes.
Like I want him to be a part of the series. I want him to be on Mando's ship. Like I love him so much more
Yes.
than like when I first saw him and he kept saying I have spoken, I was annoyed at him. I honestly was.
Really?
And then he grew on me because then I started using it like ironically, and then I was like, oh, it's not ironic anymore. I love it. And I was like, and that was literally 2 days after the episode, and I was like, I fucking love this guy now. And then the second episode came out, and I was like, yes, he's back. Like, you know, and so and like it was, he's so classy. Not only does he help him put the shit back together, Mando tells him about Yoda or Baby Yoda, Gizmo Yoda, about what he did. And he doesn't try to do anything about it. He doesn't try to take the reward for himself. You know, he's like, hey, I hope you have safe passage on your journey. I hope you're alive and you can deliver, you know.
Total honor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, Mando tries to give him money, and he's like, no, you saved my my planet.
You brought
like,
peace to my
Yeah,
valley.
you brought peace.
Like-
We're square.
Like, I love this character.
Yeah.
You know?
He's so good.
That's something that I'm loving about The Mandalorian is so far every major character that they've introduced, I fell in love with. I mean, they are so well designed.
Yeah. Carl Weathers.
And then let's see. I have
With
Gramps
both his hands.
Yes.
It's like the Ugnaught / Gramps is a good dude. Wish
See?
he joined the team.
Yeah.
Because he offers like, dude, I could use a guy like you.
And we get Mandalorian flying off in space. He looks back at Baby Yoda, you know, and in fact, he moves him with the little thing on his arm that controls the I've been calling it a bassinet. The floating bassinet. I almost called it casket. Which it very well may soon be.
No.
We don't know.
It's only a casket as long as somebody's in
Yeah.
it.
And then, you know, they're flying off, and then Baby Yoda wakes up, and they look at each other, and I'm like,
And that
Mando is
adorable
hooked.
little
Yeah, he's just like,
smile.
I'm like, Mando's hooked to this
I'm
thing.
like,
He's not going to give him back.
He's not turning him in.
No,
He's not turning
like one full episode, not even the fullest episode like the first one. It's even shorter than the first one. And you could, like, he's already attached. He's not going to give the baby up.
I absolutely expect episode 3 to be Mando trying to figure out what it was Baby Yoda just did and getting more backstory on him
Possibly.
rather than turning him in. I think that's going to be all of episode 3.
I think he's going to turn Baby Yoda in, but he's going to get double crossed with the payment, and he takes the baby back.
Oh,
that would be
yeah.
a good twist. I would like that. Yeah.
Goes in, steals more money, steals the baby back. That that would actually make for a good shootout too, and still feel very within that spaghetti western style.
Because
that I feel
like
so far.
Yoda's like, where am I going now? I don't want to go with these guys. And like he's like, oh no,
I couldn't handle.
heartstrings being
Yeah.
pulled, and you know it's like he's there with the credits, and it's like you know, and the other hand on the like you know pistol going, shootout or the money, shootout or the money.
I would
Shoot
love
at.
that scene. like he's sitting there and he's like reaching down and he gets the money as Baby Yoda's like reaching out for him and shit, and he like looks at Baby Yoda, looks at them, and he's like, and then just fucking murder hobos everybody.
Anything else you guys want to add to this before we take off here?
I'm quite well
You're quite well.
set. Yeah.
All right, cool. You?
I did not like the force usage on the
Yeah,
rhino
it
for
was
the
a little
kill.
too much.
I'm like that
A little
cheese the
overkill.
battle.
Yeah.
It like here's the thing. Like I feel like once he got on this planet, they made the Mandalorian Mando like just take a lot of undue punishment for no reason.
Yeah.
But that
Like,
could come in the backstory later too.
Walked in the cave
It's-
and got like fucking knocked out, damaged armor.
I mean, it makes
And to
sense because
me-
if you go back to like the Rancor, like it was only outsmarting it that Luke was able to win.
Right, exactly. And to me, when it came to their employment of the Force in this one, they should have done small little subtle scenes that left the viewer wondering if it was the Force that caused it to happen, you know?
Yeah.
Like you see Baby Yoda like close his eyes and start to lift his hand, and then the thing like trips and falls forward, and you're like, whoa, did he just do
Yeah,
Right.
like,
Like
that would've been-
subtle build up.
subtle? Yeah.
Like during the charge, instead of being lifted up, all of a sudden you see him slip onto mud and slide like past him.
Yeah.
And then he's like, what?
And it would be funny.
Then he just like stumbles over to like get an overhead knife stab.
And that would have made a great scene too, because then he like climbs up onto the back of it, and rather than one stab, he like goes full
Blah, blah,
Conan the
blah.
Barbarian.
Yeah, I think they could have done a little better on like conveying, but like at the same time, I'm like, I understand why they did the scenes sometimes like they did, just to be like, oh, we definitely know
Well,
that.
that,
Here's
and
the-
they
well,
only
here's the
have
other thing.
8 episodes to work with.
That's what I was
so
just
they were
gonna say.
They gotta make some.
I was like, I wasn't
pretty
sure
quick.
how many episodes there are, but if it's a short run, there's a reason that they're doing it that way then. But so yeah, that makes sense. So, okay, other than that, you good? Yeah. All right, you?
Yeah.
I feel good
Okay.
about this.
All right.
It was fun. We'll be back next week. And of course, if you liked what you saw, go ahead and follow us here. We do stream on Twitch Monday, Wednesdays, and Saturdays, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you guys like us, go ahead and throw us a follow over there. The link will be down below in the panels. And we'll see you next week.